us in our line of work, it's all about communicating and influencing, our customers, and in my case, trying to influence my crew. And as you heard, a couple years ago, I got command of a destroyer in the Navy. And at the time, we weren't quite the worst ship in the Pacific Fleet, but we were probably third or fourth from the bottom. We had one of the highest accident rates. The quarter before I took command of the ship, our retention rate was 8%, meaning we were retaining 8% of the sailors eligible to re-enlist. And when you think about the military, you think, oh, you can order your people around. You know what? I can't order them around, but I can't order them to stay. And my sailors are volunteers, just like your customers are volunteers. And I realized I have to give them a reason why they should want to stay. And I'm here thinking, this is going to be tough. I'm not smart enough to turn this ship around. I graduated in the top 80% of my class at the U.S. Naval Academy. And one day I decided, you know what, I'm going to stop obsessing over all the things I can influence. I can't choose my missions. I can't choose my crew. I don't get any more money in the budget to carry out the mission. I decided what I was going to do was to focus on them, the one thing that I could influence. And what I was going to try to do was to influence them and communicate with them why it's important to be the best, to be the leader in our industry. I was going to try to give them the best training that we possibly could. But I wanted to listen to them. The people on the front line, I wanted to listen to them for their ideas of how we could do things better. And I wanted to treat them with respect and dignity. And what happened by focusing only on them, they turned their own ship around. They worked together perfectly as a team. They turned their own ship around, and in 15 months, we were awarded the Spokane Trophy. It was an award started in 1908 by President Theodore Roosevelt, given annually to the best ship in the Pacific Fleet. And after the Spokane Trophy was announced, I get an email from my admiral. He says, Mike, congratulations on winning the Spokane Trophy, but he said, don't get too cocky and arrogant. When I had command of a ship in the Atlantic Fleet, my ship won the Battenberg Cup, which is the award for best ship in the Atlantic Fleet. And he said, oh, by the way, to this day, my ship still holds the Navy's record in gunnery of 103.6 out of a possible 105 points. He said, until you can beat my score in gunnery, I don't want to hear from you, and I don't want to hear from USS Benfold. Well, I never told the gunnery crew how to do it. I just taped that email to the gun mount. 3 weeks later, went out and shot gunnery, shot 104.4, which to this day is still a Navy record. And I let the gunnery crew write the email response back to the Admiral, letting him know what he could do with his Battenberg Cup. So we returned to port after this exercise, and as we're approaching the pier, the Admiral unexpectedly shows up. And I'm thinking, this is it. I've crossed the line. He's here to reprimand me. I actually thought about turning the ship around and heading back out to sea, because I'm safer out there. Reluctantly tied the ship up, put the brow over. I raced down to the quarterdeck to greet the Admiral as he came on board. And he didn't say congratulations. He didn't say hi. He just poked his finger in my chest, and he said, how did you do it? And I said, how did I do what? He said, how did you turn this ship around? I said, I didn't do it. I said, the crew did it. All I did was connected with them and get them to understand we're responsible for the results and we're accountable. And each and every one of you, all 310 of you, are owners of this ship. And I'm going to encourage and authorize you every day to challenge every aspect of how we get the job done. And if you have a better idea, I'm going to listen to you. So then the Admiral said to me, well, what was your number one priority when you took command? And I laughed at him and I said, you know what? My number one priority was investing in my sailors. And I'll get into this a little bit more later, but I interviewed every sailor on the ship, all 310 of them, each one individually. And I got to know their names. I got to know their spouses' names, their children's names, their hometowns. In these interviews, it gave me an opportunity to look them in the eye and tell them what we're about. You know, we're about winning. We're about staying safe if we ever get called into combat. And it's not about me, it's about all of us working together as a team. And in these interviews, I ask my sailors, what are your goals, you know, while you're in the Navy? Just like you talk to your customers and ask them what their goals are, I talk to my sailors. I said, what are your goals? How can I help you accomplish your goals? And that's what the other thing we have in common is we're all solution providers to our customers. And I wanted to help my sailors accomplish their lifelong goals. And after listening to a few sailors, I got the impression that they were frustrated that they weren't getting promoted within the Navy. And promotions mean, you know, more money in their paycheck. And so to get advanced in the Navy as an enlisted person, you have to take a standardized exam against everybody else in your occupation. And we have 300 ships in the Navy, and you would think the promotion rate across all 300 ships would be roughly the same. When I started hearing from sailors that they were frustrated that they weren't getting promoted, instead of blaming them, I looked inward and I said, are we giving them the tools necessary to get promoted? Are we giving them the right training? And so we revamped the way we deliver training to our people so that it could help them be more successful. I attended every training session on that ship. I wanted to show the sailors, hey, your promotions are important to me. I'm going to dedicate the time to make sure that you know what it takes to get promoted and to make more money in this organization. In addition to focusing on their training, I found out that 15% of my crew, English was their second language. Yet these advancement exams are given in English and they're timed. And those who had to translate to their native tongue were always at a disadvantage. When I found out that we had a language problem on the ship, out of my budget, I funded a state-of-the-art learning center on the ship whereby sailors could take math and English refresher courses. If they gave me an hour out of their free time, I would give them an hour out of the workday. I had 68 sailors participating in this program. It was so successful, we expanded it to distance learning where sailors could take college courses online for free. I had 120 sailors taking college courses in that ship. Before I got to the ship, my crew was advancing at only 68% of the Navy average. By the time I left 2 years later, my crew was advancing at more than 250% of the Navy average. Thank you. I couldn't take those exams for them, but you know what? I wanted to be visibly seen by them, to be giving them every opportunity to earn those promotions on their own. And it's a lot like Nu Skin. I mean, they give you fantastic products and they give you the training, but at the end of the day, you know, we gotta own our own destiny. And that's what I wanted my sailors to understand is, you know, I'm gonna do whatever I can to make sure you're successful. But at the end of the day, you know, we all have to own this and we all have to be responsible for our own results. And to this day, one of the things I'm most proud of was not my own promotion. It wasn't the awards and the medals. It was making a difference in my sailors' lives and making sure we got their careers back on track so that they could take pride in their success and their promotions. And what happened was they repaid me 1,000 times over in the form of increased performance. And for our efforts, we got featured in the Harvard Business Review and Fast Company magazine. And pretty soon literary agents started calling. They said, you ought to write a book. And I'm thinking, get real, I'm from the US Navy, we don't write books. But after 6 or 7 agents called, I thought, what the heck, why not? So I called my mom, she was 80 years old at the time. I said, Mom, I'm getting out of the Navy. She says, what are you gonna do? I said, well, I'm gonna write a book. She said, you don't even read books. But It's Your Ship was my first book. I used to say that to my crew. It's your ship. You know, you own it just as much as I do. And the publisher thought I might sell 20,000 copies if I bought the first 10,000. And I said to the publisher, how many books do I have to sell to become a bestseller? He said, you got to sell 45,000 books. I said, well, that's my goal, 45,000 books. It's Your Ship has been out 12 years. I've now sold over 1 million copies. Thank you. It's published in 7 different languages. I wrote a second book on leadership called Get Your Ship Together. I'm working on a third book. It's going to be called Ship Happens. And if anybody buys that one, the last book is going to be called Ship for Brains. But I've gotten a lot of neat feedback from people who have read the book. And about 7 years ago, I get an email from a small business owner. He says, Mike, I do pretty well. I've got 20 team members. Last year, I had $2 million in profit. He said, the problem is I work from 4 in the morning until midnight, 6 days a week. And he said, a year ago, my sister gave me a copy of your book. And she said, look, you're doing well, but you're never going to be able to improve because the whole business depends on you and your heroics and how many hours a day you work. She said, you're working hard hours, but you're not working smart hours. She said, you micromanage your people to death. There's no teamwork. The best ones leave you because they don't want to work for you. And she said, if you ever want to hope to grow your business, you're going to have to make the leap, from just being a manager, but to being a leader.